wait time. Having some technical difficulties here, and I'm not sure how clear the audio is going to be because my actual audio device is being a little funky, but sometimes that just happens. The state of Mercury, you can blame that if you want to, or you can just blame not really knowing if it's plugged in or not while the stream is live. So excuse me if I'm having to speak louder than normal. It's probably a good thing. But happy Tuesday, welcome to today's light stream. Let's go ahead and get right into it and the forecast for the weekly energies and such. So moving right into it, and it's so appropriate for today in my own personal reality, my own little, respective collective here in my own home. The brain has officially left the building. And when I say that, it's not necessarily that things are discombobulated or that everything's been thrown out and everything's going crazy. It's just, it's a time to reconnect and realign with our intuition. It's a time to reconnect with that feminine mystery within us all. And yes, you can do that too if you are a cis man. It's totally fine to connect with that feminine mystique within yourself. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with being a female. It's just finding that bit of mystery within you. It's breaking down illusions and the walls that we've established, and this is how things are done. It's doing away with that. I want to create my own path. I want to make my own world. If you've ever seen Moana, it's very much that. But it's regardless of gender. So go out there and forge the way and do it your way today. That's the energy in the air. And in order to really connect with where you're heading, you have to let go of the need for control. And I talk about this, it seems, every week, but that need for control can be so overbearing on the path that fate has set down for you, the path that God has set down for you, the path that your ascended self is seeing your highest version of yourself in. They're all the same thing. So if you can let go of the need to constantly be in front of that and constantly need to have everything, in a row, scatter things about, and you may see a path that you weren't keen to before. It's that kind of important attention to detail that can make sure that execution happens perfectly, but you can't operate from flawlessness and expect everything to be flawless. You're missing out on all of this potential that's being provided to you by the greater forces that be. So in that real sense, it's time to take a back seat. You see what I did there? It's time to take that back seat to the universe at play here. It's time to let things, fall in line for you versus trying to catch each thing as it falls to put it right in place. Have a little more faith in the universe or in God's plan, if you will. So how do we do that? How do we have this sort of fool's path way of doing things? Well, that's going to take some irrationality, some conscious irrationality, and I don't know if that's even a thing, conscious irrationality, but intuition and acting intuitively, trusting your gut feeling. Take the long way home. Don't go this way. You may avoid a car crash. All this premonition and synchronicity is so heightened this week. So if you're grasping onto the fixed way, you're missing out on so much, so much. Even myself, I'm sort of just letting myself go with the flow, and in doing that, I've accomplished a lot. Instead of having a fixed list, I found my groove and kind of accomplished so much more. Not just what was on the list of had to do, but there was so much more done, and I still had energy to do more stuff. Was it all... It was kind of floundering a little bit, but this week has been extremely productive because I've taken it moment by moment and sort of let myself be present. That's the energy of this week. Be present. And don't anticipate or don't think you have the full setup in your mind. Even talking to even clairvoyants, people out there, with psychic abilities, go at it. Just drop all of it and see what's going to be laid out for you. I don't know how else to put that other than going back to saying, have a little faith and ditch the itinerary. They're great. It's great to have an itinerary. But this week, you got to ditch it. Get out there, get messy, and have fun. And the reason we're doing this is because ever so often, there is this hearkening between the head and the heart. And the head says, I know what's best, I know what we have to do, and it has to be done this way, because that's how we've always done it. And the heart says, but this doesn't feel right anymore, and this isn't... But if you can consciously silence the mind, the heart's going to be able to do what's best. And it builds an ebb and flow between these two powerhouses of guidance. There's emotional guidance, and then there's logic. And the two need to be interwoven to really get full capacity with decision making, discernment, spirituality, even just doing your taxes in very tangible ways as well. But we'll get into that a little bit here. So just a little bit of relaxation to trust the process. Let the kids do their own homework tonight. Definitely be available, but just trust that things are evolving on their own. It's a great day to really get into your own routines and everything, and kind of find out what is needing maybe some decluttering. Again, you may have a method to your madness, but today is not a day to add to that clutter of compiled project and process, and I have a system. No, declutter your spaces and get into the zen of your space. Does your space feel good? Where you work, where you sleep, where you hang out, does that feel good or does it feel cluttered? Because it's so important. In order for us to have our intuition be free to do what it does best, we have to give it the space to do that. So, personal accountability. I'm washing my bedding today. I did some laundry, and I also swept and did some other stuff. There's more to do, but it comes as it comes. And probably most of it will be done when the cleaning lady comes. But again, here I am in the now, and I need to feel like I have creative space. And I can't do that when I have piles of mail. I can't do that when there's, last night's dinner still sitting in the sink. It has to have a cohesive flow for my creativity to flourish. And so doing the smallest effort today as far as decluttering your space is going to set you up for success in following that intuition this week. So it's also a good time to readjust your routine. So what you do in the morning to get going, or you're constantly waking up 5 minutes before the last minute, you got 6 alarms set. I'm kind of speaking from my own personal right now. So it's also when I'm saying these things, it's also calling myself out. I have to rethink my morning rituals and my nightly rituals. I'm a gamer, so I love to play video games. But am I doing that to the point where it's just before I fall asleep that I stop? You know, am I going from being passionate about video games to being obsessive? I have to get this next level in. I have to get this next level in. You know, and for other people, it's I have to get this next episode in. I have to get this next episode in. So it's really like, are you setting time to unwind? And then in the morning, do you give yourself time for that routine to get yourself up and out the door? Not, oh dear God, what time is it? I got to get going now. So, again, this is all to give yourself the freedom of intuitive action this week. So important. In this era of energy, it's also important to not just look at our things and our actions, but the others that occupy our space with us, those who are closest to us. And this isn't just your home. This can also be your office. It's time to have a dialogue about things that are shared. And the energy of that is definitely in the material. It's definitely maybe somebody's stealing some of your lunch. And the coworkers that I've taken some of their stuff at work, I try to let you know beforehand. But you know what? Not everyone's perfect. No, I'm just kidding. You know, it's like, I've actually gotten way better. I actually call them and I'm like, hey, can I have some of what you got? Because I didn't bring nothing. Again, routines. Anyways, so definitely have those discussions with those closest to you about what's shared. Be that space, monetary things like finances, you and your spouse, you know, putting into and pulling out of the accounts equally. Do you feel like everything's fair? So it's a good time to have these conversations because we're right around the deadline for taxes. You know, all of these student loan payments are about to be resumed, so we need to have this dialogue with those closest to us. If we're used to spending X amount and all of these bills are due, it's the first of the month, and you know, it's like, set some time aside this week to know where you are as far as what's shared between you and others. And maybe that's even emotions. Are you constantly picking them up and they're constantly barreling downward and out of control? So maybe it's time to have some dialogue and say, look, like, I need to have some barreling down and you picking me up. You know, it has to be give and take. So again, it's not just the monetary. It's most likely the monetary. That's just the energy being dictated in the air right now. However, for those of us who are in that like 10 percentile, it could also just be emotional investments as well. So on that note, we switch and transition into feeling good. Because what's the point? You have to be able to feel good about what you're doing with your life, what you're putting into the people in your life. And what you're getting out of, you know, everything cohesively. You know, if you work a 9 to 5, you should be setting time aside for a passion project. You know, if you're not happy there, if you see yourself working there 10 to 15 years, and there's good benefits coming to you, and this is a road that you feel like you can travel, I don't know why I'm throwing all of this in, but I guess somebody needs to hear it, then definitely. But still, we should all have a hobby that doesn't necessarily bring us monetary gain, but brings us that fulfillment. Like this is definitely a passion project of mine, you know, but it's fulfilling. I feel like I'm, you know, giving what I've always used to get that slight edge and sharing that with whoever is able to see it, because I don't check in every day, but I do check in once a week, and so it's the learning process that we go through together every Tuesday, and I like sharing that with you. It makes me feel good. So in saying that, I hope that you're doing something outside of the grind, the hustle, that is making you just feel good, because you deserve it. And in doing this, we find a rhythm. So I hope that you and those among you find that rhythm, because that's when you start winning at life. That's what success looks like. Because we're not just covering the rent. Now we're covering the rent and having a good time. You see how that kind of flips the equation to life as a servant to life as a master as a servant? You're always the servant. If you think you're the master, you're not really doing nothing for nobody, and you need to sit down. So, and I'll saying all that, what I go into next is just adding to the getting that rhythm going is, don't get so caught up this week as well that you are locking yourself away from the potential of everything. And I think I've kind of covered that over the last couple of bullet points here. And that's the having a faith that everything's going to be okay. And so it's okay to put yourself out there and you know, put yourself in social situations if that's not your thing, or even recluse into your home space if that's not your thing. But don't lock yourself away from those who care about you, and don't lock yourself away from yourself. You know, a lot of us, we like to, especially myself, I love nothing more than to get drunk on work ethic. You know, and it took me years to be okay with taking one day off, taking 2 days off. I take 4 days off a week. And that's insanity for other people my age. But you know what? This is life, and I'm present for it. And if that time should be called to be occupied by something of purpose and tangible manipulation into monetary gains, I want it to be something other than what I'm doing that 3 days. Because I bust my butt those 3 days. Don't get it twisted. He goes hard from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. some days. You know, but it's like that 4 days is set up so that the universe can bring about whatever. Most days it's sleeping until noon, but that's what has come about. And I'm thankful for it. You know, can be there for my pets. Can be, like, can live my domestic goddess fantasy, like, whatever, you know. So moving forward from that, we are going to be going into the Astro Matrix portion of today. So let me just pull that up here. And for anybody who's interested, I do like natal charting. I do natal charting. I do like astrological setups for people. So if anybody's interested in that, again, it's a passion of mine. So if you're just curious, it's not that hard. It's not so difficult of information to get a hold of that if I didn't want to do it personally, I could do it for you, and then you could do your own investigation into it. Like, so if you're interested, just shoot me a DM or something. All right. So things that come easy today are breaking away. And for me, that was pretty awesome because I did break away. I broke away from my routine of just doing whatever. And today I really got onto, you know, decluttering my space and kind of finding my own groove, putting on my own music. It felt good. And so if you needed to get away, today's the day. Like, do your own Calgon commercial today and find your own space. Go out for a tea somewhere, or, you know, find a cool bookstore to go chill at, or you know, go meet up with friends. Like, do something for you today. And break from that routine. Some things that are going to be difficult to find alignment with. We're going to be waiting in this sense of waiting, like, so we're stuck in this, like, oh no, I swear, it's like Elden Ring right here, like the land between. That's where we're at. We're very much in the land between. But it's the land between the old world and the old way of doing things, like winter, not like world phases, but just from how it was during the winter. Now we're adjusting to summer. We're getting everything ready for summer, and we're getting into those more like higher vibrational energies of summer, because it's warming up and all that good stuff. So that time between causes a madness for a lot of people. And that madness can lead to acting out and being irresponsible. But again, that irrational self is going to bear its fangs this week, because we've had such a tight grip on this, what we want people to see, that as the world around us becomes more and more of a like assimilated, carbon copy of that dream we have in our mind, your inner self screams against that and says, this isn't what I desire. This is what you wanted, but this isn't what I desired. I want more than this. And so we kind of flip the switch. And again, that feminine mystery, the feminine mystique, she comes bearing her fangs, slashing down these walls of illusion. And, it's uncomfortable, but the transition is necessary. So again, you kind of just got to roll with it. Now, this is not in any way an excuse to go out there and berate people, talk down to those close to you, quote unquote girl boss it, because it's for your best and highest self's benefit. Those are some very toxic things that are going unchecked lately. So what this really means is it's time to have that dialogue with the people who really care about you. And I'm going to say that again. This isn't an excuse to go out there and girl boss. This is an opportunity to dialogue so that your expectations are realistically dealt with. And your upset isn't so disastrous. Because it's in the leveling with that feminine mystique, because it's powerful, that you hold the potential to ruin people around you and ruin yourself. So act with caution. Don't girl boss it. The obscured mind is also at play this week, and that's also something we're going to be finding difficulty in alignment with. And the obscured mind says that I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know what was happening. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of apologies after an obscured mind, because you could just be haphazardly floating through life. My foot slipped off the pedal and I was falling asleep at the wheel. It's very much that energy. So again, find the space to adjust those routines, to give yourself that full 8 hours of sleep, to have the discipline to say, I'm going to start winding down at this time. So that way you can move freely and safely. And it's more than that. It's trying to find that divinity and trying to break through to that spiritual end as well, and feeling like you're in a fog. Again, it's going back to, we are in between. Because there's the soul that wants to ascend, but there's the body that's very much alive and says, it's nice outside today. We should probably get out there. But you've been praying all morning. So definitely pray in the morning, but don't extend it past the time to get out there and live. I think that's all I can really say about that. Moving forward, also finding difficulty with the alignment of purging. You're holding on to stuff. You're holding on to people. You're holding on to situations. It's hard to dismiss something in your life that has given you an opportunity to reflect, because you think you owe something to it. You don't. You don't owe anything to anyone at any time. Again, not as an excuse to girl boss, but as an opportunity to dialogue. I want to be grateful to everything that made me who I am today, and honor every step of every moment that has brought me to this point today, and bid nothing but good tidings and well-being to anything that I have had to let go. See how much different that sounds than I have to get you out of my life because you're negative. Because you're negative energy. I need you out of my life. Well, if you're negative energy, and I've said this before, if these people are negative energy, what is my energy as a match that just opened the door and said, sure, come in, we can chill. You're negative, so I must be negative too. And I really want people to resonate with that. If you have negative people in your life, if you're saying that these people in my life are toxic, your energy signature has been as such that you're attracting like to like. So what aspects of you are also toxic or negative? Where did you find camaraderie in their toxicness and their negativity? It's a very difficult thing to put the mirror back on yourself. But that's where you find the truth. So again, we bring it back to alignment with the discernment that we've outgrown this situation, and we handle it with gratitude. Gratitude for every moment with these people who've helped me to ascend to this place. And though we've outgrown our time together, I wish you nothing but well-being and the best. And if you should need me in the future, I want you to reach out to me when something good happens. And then we can dialogue about what's happening with you. And maybe I can offer some insight. But it's like, so many people are so ready to shut the door on people that they just, one day decide they're just negative. Or they're just toxic. And so many people are right there to be along with side, like stand right next to them. And it's a little bit, like I say, it's a girl bossing. It's just as bad as toxic masculinity. So it's time to find that divine masculine. And I talked about this in the last week's video, but I go into great detail about it. The divine masculine and the feminine mystique are being perpetrated right now as girl bossing and being toxically masculine. And the two are nothing like the other. So, again, you may find difficulty aligning with the purging of things in your life, but it's the way that you purge that's going to make all the difference. In honor, you release these things to do what they will. I'm going to leave it at that. Alright, so moving down, we're going to be also finding difficulty with our desire to achieve. This is, again, that time between that we are all going through right now. I have many projects in the air, and I wish they were all done today. I wish I was getting phone calls saying, hey, it's ready, you can come pick it up. It's not the world we live in, and that's okay. I'm going to spend today cleaning my house, maybe going out later, maybe. Moving down from that, we're going to find difficulty transforming that primal energy into something more effective. And there's been a display. I don't even need to bring up the situation because all I have to say is there's been memes of it everywhere and you know what I'm talking about. So that's exactly where we're at right now, is having the difficulty to take that devolved id version of ourselves, or the ego, and transmuting it into an ascended mind process. acting in the moment is not living in the moment. And now I'm preaching, so we're moving on. Something that we will find very much easy to come into alignment with today is being progressive. And that's the good old spirit of just moving forward. Despite what hardships we're being faced with, keep that close to you. Again, it's going to come easy today, so I don't need to talk on it too long. You're moving through it, and you're doing well, and you're doing beautifully moving through it. It's been difficult. Your actions could have been 100 times worse, but look at you go. Moon transits, there's a lot of alignment today. Alignment today happening, and that's wonderful because we've been needing it. So much so that I will start with the only thing that we're going to be dealing with and finding difficulty aligning with is this sense of fleeting depression. And this whole, again, this is just because we are in that time between, where summers has started and then it will get kick-started, and then we'll be having the fun of everything that is to do with summer because we love it as a planet. But that depression is with us still, that inner turmoil, that nostalgic, inability to resolve and release everything that's happened this past winter. And again, if you're not there yet, if you're still grieving the past, you're allowed to. There's nothing that says there's a time limit on how long you can grieve. And if you can occupy the space to do so, give it to yourself. I don't want to put this out there and have it translated as you don't have any time to feel anything. You got to get out there and do you. Again, that's very toxic girl boss vernacular. Take the time to feel things and process what you're feeling if you need to. Again, that fleeting depression. And again, everything that we're moving through here has a purpose in your life. And that includes hardship. Hardship has a purpose. And if you don't know what it is, it's so we can harden ourselves to stand ever more upright. As everything around us crumbles, we have to hold it up. All right, other things that will come along with us, very easily aligned with today, we will all have this strong sense of will, and that's to keep going. The will is the center chakra, and its color is yellow, and it has a very similar assimilation to the same energy as sunlight. So today you will feel like an ever-giving orb of energy that has no limit, or at least has a limit of millions of years as far as what you're able to accomplish today. So get out there and get on it. Or you will use that same energy to devolve and depreciate. It's up to you. Feeling selfless is also in the air today. Very easy to be there for somebody today who needs it. It's almost going to be second nature. Somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, it's been really hard lately. Can I just talk to you for a minute? Like, yeah, sure. What's going on? So be there like that today. It's not going to be hard. And if you need somebody to be like that, be there like that for you, reach out. It's not that hard. And it's going to be very warmly received today. Guaranteed. Rewarding experiences are also happening. And that's proof in the pudding for myself today. Like, I'm so happy I did all my laundry and cleaned my floors and I replaced my filters. I did all kinds of stuff today. Hell's energy is crazy. Enhanced creativity is also in the air today. So, again, doing something that feels good. Creating that space for yourself for your passion project. Very much in lieu with what we've been talking about. But again, it's all because this is where we stand in the celestial energy of it all. Or God's plan. feeling the love, attraction. You may feel like everything's going your way, that everything's happening for you and not to you. Perpetuate that. Keep it going. And give it to someone else. Share it. Which leads into feeling sincere. And everything that we do today shouldn't be, out of spite, out of revenge, or to show somebody. It should be because it genuinely makes us feel good. So every action today should be perpetuated by, does this make me feel good? Excuse me. That made me feel good. Does this make me feel good? Has to be the before to the cause. Alright, so we have another 2 weeks with Mars in Aquarius, another 1 week with Venus in Aquarius. So again, these masculine and feminine themes are very much, heightened as we close out these next 2 weeks. So what we're fighting for, what we're fighting against, is very upper echelon ideals and things that we don't really talk about but until we find somebody we can talk about them comfortably with. So again, it's the receiving and the creation of all that dialogue and higher thinking, even higher planning, higher action, doing stuff that's better not just for you and your household, but maybe even the community. So the sun is in Aries for another 3 weeks. Happy birthday to all my Aries peeps. Remember what you're fighting for. Aries is the god of war. So in that saying, it's no longer conquest for the world. It's conquest for the mind. It's conquest for our inner peace. So again, make sure you're fighting for the right things. So you're not just coming off fighting for no reason. And again, all that takes is a little bit of dialogue and awareness. Mercury is also in Aries, so it's fiery. Your tongue is going to be fiery this week. Be careful. If somebody does get in an argument, you're going to know exactly what to say. But don't do it. Give it some thought. On that note, these upcoming moons are going to be, this new moon coming in Aries, and it's definitely this across the board. We're going to find this, I've arrived at my destination and I'm ready to go from here. The looming question, what's next? New moon in Aries is coming to usher in that age or that season of what's next. So stay tuned. In 3 weeks, we reach the full moon in Libra. All right. Again, that giving and taking, and are we balanced in these relationships that are both close to us, or those within proximity to us? Is there a give and take? Libra is going to be revealing all of this and helping us to strengthen those bonds with those closest to us. So it's really creating fundamental, foundational strength with your relationships. It's going to be the theme leading up to that full moon in Libra. All right, moving along. Let's go ahead and I want to make sure this is still going. Telling you, I'm checking only because it is one of those days for me. So I'm like, am I even streaming right now? God, are you there? It's me, Margaret. So today's card that I pulled today is, like I said multiple times, we are in the time between. We are lamenting still from winter and all the hardships maybe even having nostalgia for the bonds we created during winter. And also, we're being called to set up for the summer energies and all of the bonding and time pass that will occur in the coming, summer months. So the card I pulled today is ever appropriate. It's wait. It's not time yet. Things are being woven. And we see this child arriving at the gateway to the universe and looming over her gateway because she knows when she's supposed to enter into this wonderful realized miracle that is existence, conscious existence. So too do we wait as participants of that miracle that is conscious existence, to act, to receive, and to implement, and to love, and to release. And I'm going to go silent for a moment here, because if Spirit has a message for you, you'll feel it coming through as thoughts come to the front of your mind, as you reflect on this card. So again, life is definitely evolving, and you're evolving, and the world around you is becoming relative to this heightened state of awareness that you've spent every moment of every day cultivating and coming to the realization of, this is what I want to do with this life. So I affirm that for you now. This is what you want to do with this life. And you say it with me. This is what I want to do with this life. And I wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors and the proceedings of creating that highest version of yourself, so that you can go out and make it so. And then I release you to go do that. And I hope you release me to go do that. Anyways, it's been a great light stream today, and I'll see you guys possibly next week. I know it's been like catch and miss sometimes, but I'm trying to be more consistent. Like I said, this is something that's more of a passion of mine, so I don't want to force it if I'm not really feeling authentic with it. But more often than not, I do. And once I start writing things down, it starts coming through to me naturally. And again, I just appreciate every moment that we do get to spend this one-on-one with each other. All right, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.